War in Ukraine hits Russia hard, causing an upsurge in alcoholism. Statistics from Russia's state statistics agency show that alcoholism has risen for the first time in 10 years. The Russian daily Kommersant used data from Rostat's December publication of the Healthcare in Russia 2023 guidebook. It revealed that 54,200 people were diagnosed with alcohol dependence in 2022, the year Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine started. Out of that number, 12,900 were diagnosed with alcohol psychosis, a condition that comes with a host of symptoms such as hallucinations, delusions, mood swings, violent outbursts, and aggression. From 2010 to 2021, levels fell steadily from 153,900 to 53,300 persons, but, beginning in 2022, levels have begun to rise again. According to the figures, Russia's health ministry had earlier stated that the decline in alcohol use and alcohol-related deaths was halted due to the COVID-19 epidemic. According to the ministry, the rate of fatalities caused by alcohol poisoning has dropped from 15 per 100,000 to 7 per 100,000 in the last 15 years. Russian experts spoke with by Kommersant blamed the recent spike in alcoholism on the COVID-19 pandemic, socioeconomic shocks, and the intensification of geopolitical confrontations. An extremely high proportion of Russian servicemen fighting in Ukraine were reported to be dying owing to alcohol consumption, according to the British Ministry of Defence in April 2023. According to the ministry's assessment, which was included in an intelligence report on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, pervasive alcohol abuse among Russian forces has been associated with an extremely high quantity of incidents, crimes and deaths. The matter is probably particularly detrimental to the performance of Moscow's forces, according to Russian commanders. According to the UK government, according to the intelligence report, a significant minority of Russian losses can be attributed to non-combat related causes, such as alcohol use, along with other variables including car accidents and cold. Many within Russia's upper class also suffer from alcoholism. Russian politicians, businesses, and government officials were reportedly turning to alcohol as a stress reliever in June 2023, according to the independent Russian news outlet Verska. Those associated with the Kremlin, parliament, and regional authorities were cited by the journal as saying that politicians and members of the elite have grown more drunk since the conflict in Ukraine took place. Governors are slipping, missing meetings and using illegal substances, according to a source. Meetings are being disrupted and people are getting drunk at events. Moscow claims that the Davos discussions on Ukraine will be fruitless since Russia will not participate. The 10 points put forth by Zelensky include the following: the return of Ukraine's state borders to Russia, an end to hostilities, and the evacuation of Russian forces. Putin thinks the West wants to divide Russia and take its resources, so he is using the conflict in Ukraine as a wedge issue in a larger global struggle. On Monday, the Kremlin stated that Russia will not participate in the Davos peace talks, thus they would accomplish nothing, and that Moscow will maintain its military operation in Ukraine until it accomplishes all of its objectives. The largest Western Russian clash since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 began in February 2022 when Russian President Vladimir Putin deployed thousands of troops into Ukraine. At this week's World Economic Forum, talks to halt the hostilities in Gaza and Ukraine will be at the forefront of the global elite's agenda. Notable attendees include U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, French President Emmanuel Macron, and important Middle Eastern leaders. When questioned about the debates on Ukraine in Davos, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov replied, "This is simply talking for the sake of talking. For obvious reasons, we are not going to be a part of this process, hence it can't have any goals. Discussions will fail to produce any fruit unless we are involved." President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has proclaimed all negotiations with Russia to be unlawful, and the Ukrainian government has stated that it would not rest until all Russian soldiers have left Ukrainian land. Russia, which has control over less than 20% of Ukraine, has criticized Zelensky's peace formula for trying to resolve the conflict without Russia's involvement, calling it ridiculous. The 10 points put forth by Zelensky include the following: the return of Ukraine's state borders to Russia, an end to hostilities, and the evacuation of Russian forces. Putin thinks the West wants to divide Russia and take its resources, so he is using the conflict in Ukraine as a wedge issue in a larger global struggle. The West insists it has no desire to topple Russia. On Sunday, Andriy Yermak, chief of staff to the president of Ukraine, emphasized the importance of Russia's ally China being present during future talks in which Kiev will discuss its peace formula. When questioned about Russia's stance on potential negotiations with Ukraine, Peskov referred to Kiev's stance on prohibiting discussions with Moscow as absurd. For us, it is preferable to achieve our security objectives through peaceful and diplomatic means, stated Peskov. But in the face of the impossibility of this, the unwillingness of the collective West and Ukraine to take into account our security considerations, we continue the special military operation, added Peskov. We will achieve our goals. Special military operation is Putin's term for the combat in Ukraine, but he and other high-ranking officials have used the word war on multiple occasions. This story is automatically generated from a syndicated feed and has not been edited by the staff of Dev Discourse.